Hi, welcome to Money Talks, the Journal Times online business show. I'm business reporter. I'll say your host. I've never said that before. I'm business reporter Michael Burke, and I guess I am a host of sorts. And with me today is Curt Pruitt, the manager of Regency Mall, longtime manager of the mall, as we'll talk about in a minute. Thanks for being here today, Curt.
Oh, you're welcome.
So tell me, how long have you been with Regency Mall, which was built in '81?
Built in '81. When I transferred here, it was my fifth mall that I have been at, and I moved here in '87, and that was 25 years ago.
25 years, yeah, so you've got some great perspective there. You know, I think sometimes we take for granted how Regency Mall changed the landscape of this community in, literally and figuratively. That was a farm field before, and we are now, it shifted where people shop. It created a whole new commercial area that never existed before that. I mean, its impact is enormous. It changed what downtown became immediately after and what downtown is today, so its impacts are just tremendous. Why don't you hit us with some numbers, the size of the mall, the acreage, number of stores, number of visitors in a year?
Okay. Well, it's a 100-acre site, and that comprises everything from Target all the way over to Applebee's and everything south of the old Ridgewood or High Ridge Center. One thing that's a little bit of trivia that most people don't know is on the back corner of the parking lot where the curves on the back, the north side.
Northeast area.
There's a curve in the road, and that's due to a potter's field that was remained after the old tuberculosis sanitarium or whatever High Ridge was back in the day.
And a potter's field is what?
Where they bury the indigent, patients that were unclaimed by family members. And so I'm also a caretaker of a cemetery.
Yeah, interesting.
That was discovered once they started building the mall. They discovered that it had been a burial ground. And so...
do we know how many people are buried there?
I do not. I just know when I moved here that I... in addition to shopping center manager, became a caretaker for a cemetery.
Yeah, that's great trivia.
It's a 100-acre site. We've got about 120 stores, and that number fluctuates month to month. And that includes the out parcels as well as the small shops that are also found
like
throughout
Olive Garden,
the common area.
Chuck
Correct.
E. Cheese and places like that. Mm-hmm. How many visitors a year do you think you get?
8 million. We do have traffic counters, and so we know how many visitors come each year. Generate, all told, a little over $100 million a year in sales that through taxes and everything really benefit. I mean, it's a very big financial engine for Racine County.
What is the mall assessed at roughly? How many millions?
Do you know? I don't know that.
Oh.
I don't know what the total property assessment is. We pay it in parcels.
I see. Yeah.
And so I've never tallied it up.
Yeah. How many of those roughly 120 stores would have been there from the start, do you think? And I know you weren't there in '81, but what's your best guess about that?
Probably 20 are remaining from...
Including the main anchors?
Correct. Boston Store and Sears and Penny's.
Yeah. When did Target come along?
In 1982.
Okay, it was right after.
In fact, Bergner's, Boston Store, and Penny's opened, and then Sears was built the following year, as was Target.
You know, I'm just continually impressed by Target, how they seem to just hit the sweet spot in, being seen as a clean place, a cool place to shop, reasonable prices. Customer service is, obviously a high priority. It's not one of these places where you wander around and wonder if there's somebody working who you can maybe ask about something. They just do a great job, don't they?
You're absolutely right. They're one of my favorites, and it's a generational thing. My kids enjoy getting what they find at Target. I can buy gifts for my parents there. It's a great store, And if you're there early in the morning, you can see their team meetings taking place in front of the cash registers.
Really?
And it's very clear that they approach it as a team, and they get their team members fired up and ready for the day.
Yeah. So how has the mall changed over time, other than the obvious fact that there's some turnover in stores? What do you think are some of the fundamental ways it's changed from when you came?
In the 70s and 80s, as the mall phenomenon rolled out across the country, it was new and exciting, and it was a place that families could go and spend the day. And it was a big event when I was a kid, when my parents would take us to Indianapolis, to the shopping malls.
And of course, where you could wander from store to store, and if it was the dead of winter, you weren't cold, and if it was hot summer, you were still in air conditioning. That was new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so mall shopping was an event and entertainment, where now with the busy lifestyles and the overscheduled kids, I mean, those of us who are parents, we are filling up our lives so much that it gives us less time for shopping. And so malls, retailers in general, have had to really focus on ways to make it welcoming, convenient, easy. Transactions can be dealt with very rapidly, and customers can get in and out. Now, we do, of course, try to spend some energy working on ways to keep shoppers in the shopping mall a little bit longer. And food is a big part of that. When you have concentrated food areas where people will sit down and dine, that can help extend a shopping trip, and that always generates into more dollars.
And you were telling me earlier that another way you responded to the busier society, for those who don't want to spend any more time there than they have to, you have clusters of complementary stores.
We do, so that people can come in if they're looking for children's wear. They can come in and, for example, the Children's Place, Gymboree, Kids Foot Locker, they're located in close proximity to each other so that people can zip around and get what they need. Jewelry stores are a really good example of that philosophy. And you're right, we'll have women's apparel grouped with women's shoes for those obvious reasons.
Yeah. You know, I was in there recently, in the mall recently, and one thing that struck me is you still have one of those photo booths where you go in and you get the little strip of photos that these things must have been around for 50 years, and in an age where people have camera phones, that this thing still exists, and you have one.
It still exists, and probably 2 out of 3 times that I walk by it, some kids are in it, and they're goofing off and getting photos just as you and I did when we were little.
That's so funny.
They generate a great deal of income.
Yeah, that's so funny. One thing that I know changed over the course of your tenure is, and most people don't know this, but the mall used to have a secret shopper.
Yes.
Person, in fact, your secret shopper worked at the Journal-Times while she was doing this, and that's how I came to know about this. Where did you give her money to shop, or was she supposed to just wander in and ask questions?
All of the above. She would make a purchase, return things. We would provide money up front, and we had the person have a variety of encounters with staff in the store.
And then report back, so you knew that your mall was being run properly and people...
And there were forms that they would fill out that we could give to the store manager, the district management, whoever might be interested, so that they could just know how that experience went.
Is that something that all of the mall properties of CBL, your owner, your parent company, did they all do that, or was that something you guys did and some malls didn't, or what?
Some malls did. It was prevalent in the company that originally built Regency Mall, which was a firm out of Ohio.
Okay.
And their collection of malls, which is the corporate culture that I was raised in, each of the malls that I worked in had a secret shopper program, and then we communicated with our retailers pretty regularly.
And you no longer have that. Why is that, and what happens now?
Most of the stores have become so specialized that they have in their mind exactly what they want their customer experience to be. And they have training of their staff members for the way they're to be greeted, and whether it's to give the customer some space or whether they're supposed to hit them right as they come in. And so the stores, the national chains, have taken on that responsibility. They definitely saw value in it and have taken that program over. They have their own secret shopping programs that'll hit perhaps all of the stores in the Milwaukee area and then go on and hit a different shopping district.
Yeah. Have leasing terms changed over the years? What was prevalent early on, and how do you do things now?
They have. In the past, malls it was a build it and they will come, and you had people just constantly clamoring to get space in the mall. And nowadays, we have to be very competitive with our rental rates. We have become much more flexible with our terms, where previously it might have been the expectation that someone would sign for 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 years, where now we've realized market conditions change, the trends change, and so it's important to have the flexibility both for the retailer to be able to change how they do business or what it is that they sell. And likewise, the malls, that real estate is valuable sometimes in large chunks and sometimes in small chunks. And so the landlord wants to be able to have, within 3 years, control of a particular block of space in the mall. And so they'll have leases that may all come due at the same time, 3 years down the line, and so forth. So it's evolved as people have learned and grown with how we do business these days.
One thing that I know has you talk about how in demand mall space was at one time, but of course then when the recession came along, you had vacancies, and at Regency you did some pretty creative things to fill vacancies. So not every space is necessarily a retail space anymore. A good case in point, the YWCA. And by the way, I was really impressed by how prominent they're making themselves. The YWCA not only has their offices there, but I mean it's a big, bold YWCA with a display about their Dress for Success program right toward the front, and so they're really making themselves visible. But what are some of the other non-retail uses that you have there?
Well, before I answer that, I'd like to point out that the YWCA, the Milwaukee office, has come down, has taken notice of that. They are meeting with our office right now. There are architects that are redesigning the storefront, and they're going to go in there and renovate the entire space, build a new storefront, and have a November opening before Thanksgiving, a grand opening.
In your mall here, right?
In our mall. And the Milwaukee offices are coming down. I know that Mayor Dickert is lined up to be there for ribbon cuttings. And so this is new for the Y, and they're thrilled at having a presence in the mall. And they were able to consolidate offices. They had Girls Inc., they've had Dress for Success, they've had different programs that were spread out, and now they've got them all under one lease and
so
under
clearly
one
it's
roof.
Working out for them.
And so there's some real efficiencies that they've experienced, and we're excited for them, and our company is very excited to see different uses of traditional retail space. Other examples are the barbershop quartet, the gentlemen that sing down.
I don't think you mean quartet, because the Dairy Statesmen are much bigger than the quartet.
Yes.
The Dairy Statesmen.
Dairy Statesmen, the barbershop singing group. They have been in the mall for a number of years now, and
As a practice place, right?
as a practice. They rehearse, they recruit, they entertain. People can come there on their rehearsal nights.
Yeah,
And
obviously
watch
they're
the
doing
shows.
this during mall hours, and
They
so
are.
it's both entertainment and a place for them to practice.
It is.
Uh-huh.
And so we have, and we at one time, if you recall, had WEZY, the radio station, was in the show windows of a former Talbot space, or
I've heard that.
Idols.
Okay.
And so we've tried things over the years to make use of space where we have an excess amount of space. Racine remains a fairly small market. Our trade area is about 360,000 people in the 3 counties that we draw from.
Okay,
And so Regency Mall is a large place.
Yeah.
We've got lots of space, and so we're...
You also, the Racine Police Department has I don't know when that's used, but they have a storefront there. You have a recruiting armed forces recruiting station. So there are other examples of that.
Correct.
Do you still have that tailor that was there?
Yep, they're still there.
Yeah,
And,
so a service business as
yes.
opposed to a retail. Yeah. Well, one reason we timed this show as we did, scheduled it as we did, being October 9th, is to get you in just before the holiday season starts and talk about what that means to the mall. So let me just start off with, in your mind, when does the holiday shopping season begin?
It's really a fourth quarter season, so October, November, and December. The official launch, as we all know, traditionally is Black Friday, right after Thanksgiving. But we really have people, the stores are ramping up and getting all of the product in. They're doing their holiday hiring, interviewing right now.
That's going on now?
Correct. We are signing deals for holiday temporary retailers that come in during the holiday season. Those deals are pretty well locked in and will be at just about at 100% occupancy again this holiday season. We are dusting off and painting the various Christmas decorations that get put up and fencing. Santa, there's a lot that goes on behind the photography operation that comes in and operates. Yeah. And
so Black Friday is the official date, but you said earlier that November is pretty strong. And,
it is.
And so in your common areas, by the way, there's no uniform plan for the holidays. You were saying that every retailer can start when they want to.
With regards to what they are selling, that is correct. And we've all seen the Hallmark store with holiday keepsake ornaments out in August.
That's crazy.
Those things hit, and they're collector pieces and they're limited editions, and so they're very popular when they come out.
So you have some starting as early as August. You have what happens right after Halloween?
Then we're in holiday mode.
Okay.
You will see all of the decorations go up in the mall. Stores, especially the department stores, will have already decorated because they're really trying to promote holiday gift buying. I'm a landlord, and so I'm decorating the common area spaces, and we still do try to have respect for that Halloween, and let's
wait till afterward.
We've already taken over Thanksgiving,
right.
and so we understand and try to respect.
You mentioned hiring. What's the normal number of people who work in your mall, and what does it become during the holidays?
All of the stores, we have approximately 900 to 1,100, 1,200 people during the January through October time frame, and it increases almost double. We're at about 2,200, 2,300 during the holidays.
More than double. That's amazing. What are the expectations for this particular shopping season? a holiday shopping season?
The analysts are predicting a 3 to 4% gain over holiday a year ago, and will be through the election. So whatever perceived uncertainty people may have right now, that will be known at that point. And so there are a lot of people that are very optimistic about the holiday season this year.
What are the popular gift categories during the holidays? Or is it everything, or can you single out some areas such as clothing or electronics and things that are the most popular?
Probably electronics, jewelry, clothing. Certainly, a lot of the clothing stores do quite well in the for customers that feel they know their gift receiver well enough to buy clothing for them.
That's the trick there.
It's dicey.
Yeah.
I know that.
And sizes, too. You need to know the size, and you need to know the style.
Yes. Yeah. We are amazed at the things that come in and are popular. Sportula. I mean, a grilling spatula that has your favorite teams on it. And we've got a cart that sells those at Center Court, and the company just signed with the NFL. So now, in addition to all of the collegiate sports teams, you'll now be able to buy Packers sportulas. And
there you go. There's a gift idea for your dad.
Yeah, they're huge. And the little electronic helicopters that buzz around. I mean, kids remote control things, cell phones and accessories. There's a lot. You can find Christmas gifts if you come in the mall, whether you're buying for someone that's bookish and doesn't need a lot, or if you're buying for a fashion maven, you can find it there.
And what do you consider the end of the holiday shopping? Because of course there's that period of returns, and then you always have the after Christmas sales and things like that, which I assume are attempts to clear off merchandise that maybe stores loaded up on too much of something or other.
Exactly. And so we really do consider probably the mid to end of January as part of the holiday season. If you think about it, all those gift cards that are given out on December 25th, 26th, as people have their holiday celebrations, all those gift cards are hitting the malls in January.
Right.
And so it's a really good push. And has really worked to help extend the season longer than people would have traditionally thought.
Yeah, interesting. You recently added a really significant store in Gregg, and I walked into that recently, and they carry leather furniture and many appliances and lots of electronics. It kind of struck me as a just slightly smaller version of American. Does that seem like a
that would
fair
be
comparison?
Accurate. I would agree. The furniture that they sell is, apart from bedding, is pretty much aimed at the home theater kind of products that they sell. And so they started out selling so much of the electronics and such that are affiliated with home theater, and then it just became a natural for them to also start offering. People are putting it on the credit card, or they're opening up a charge account anyway, and they're trying to really trick out their rec room or family room. They can do it all in one place and just have one big delivery.
That explains
occur.
that. Yeah, that's an unusual store in that you can't walk into the store and then go into the rest of the mall, though.
That is correct.
That's a real anomaly. Are there any others like that?
No, that's unusual. And for a good bit of the negotiations, it originally was going to have an entrance and display windows onto the mall common area, and the philosophy of the store and their corporate office just kind of changed direction, and so I'm getting used to that. Would not like to see it everywhere, but the store is still such a strong draw And a lot of the customers then will come in the mall entrance by the
Yeah.
food wing or go into Penny's.
And it's nearby too. The
Yes.
two entrances are only, I don't know, 15 yards apart or something like
Yes.
that. You do have one vacancy now that I'm sure you have some level of concern about, and that's the former furniture store. That must be 20-some thousand square feet.
It's 25,000,
Uh-huh.
and you're correct. We've got a few different prospects that have been looking at it and coming in and measuring, and a variety of uses as to how that space it may end up being retail and it may not.
Oh yeah.
We have some discussions going on with a couple of national retailers, but those are going to be 2013 decisions if they sign with us. And so right now we're working to fill the space with a temporary, much as you saw with the flooring and furniture store. Flooring was a permanent lease that was a 3-year deal, and then they opened the furniture store as a temporary lease in close proximity to their other location. And then when H.H. Gregg was coming in, that completely changed their business model, and so we're now marketing that space.
And other than that, you're pretty much full up, aren't you?
We are.
Including
yes.
the outlets, I believe, right?
We've got a couple of openings out there.
Oh yeah,
the old cinema,
the old Chi-Chi's.
Yes,
and the cinema, right?
And so we have a lot of lookers. A lot of people get trotted around town. Our CEDC is doing their job. The mayor is always out attracting business to the area, and so we're part of that road show, and we do get a lot of lookers. I've got a deal in negotiation right now on the old Central Bark on the back side of the mall and the old National Tire and Battery store.
Right.
Same building, has had a couple of different uses, and we're...
Can you say what kind of a thing that would be?
Automotive.
Oh.
So it would be using the building for the
right.
purpose that it was built.
Oh yeah, nice. Well, any last words for us, Curt? We've covered a lot and certainly talked about the holiday season.
Well, we're alive and well. Shop local. We encourage that. I'm an avid Regency Mall shopper and appreciate everybody that stays in town and spends their money, whether it's downtown Racine or West Racine or Regency Mall.
I know, I do see you at a lot
counts.
of downtown functions. I've always been impressed by that.
We're
You're a supporter of downtown.
We
as well.
are. We're
Yeah.
very big supporters. I don't know if you knew that my kids and I, when I was a single dad, we had a loft apartment
I
down
remember
here.
that. Yeah,
And
I do.
so I really have embraced downtown Racine and love it.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Well, thanks so much for being on the show. Thanks for being with us. You've been watching Money Talks, the Journal Times online business show. I'm business reporter Michael Burke. Thanks for being here.